Every company has a story. Every person has a story. And those are important things. Those connections are important. They create value in our life. I'm here because of my story. It started with my grandmother. One of those people in your life that are forever special. When she was 85, she had a heart attack. I just couldn't get comfortable with the options for her to live. And so we started looking around. And I had visited a bunch of different communities. And it wasn't right. I couldn't see how we could fulfill our promise to her in what was there. So I started off with a very simple idea. This can't be that difficult. We'll just build one. I had no idea that a simple promise would turn into a passion about changing the way people think and feel and experience senior living, which is really what the Springs Living's about. The story behind the name The Springs Living goes back to where I grew up. I grew up in Eastern Oregon in a place called Lehman Hot Springs. It's a very remote location. The reason people came there was for this amazing water. Because of its mineral content, because of its temperature, it makes people feel healthier, younger, happier. Growing up at Lehman, there was a legend of a lost Native American gold mine. In fact, my cousins and I used to look for it in the summers. I happened to run into an elderly Native American a few years ago, and the story that my grandmother told me about teepees being set up around the hot spring popped into my head. So I asked him to tell me where the lost gold mine was. He looked at me kind of funny and he said, "Fee, there's no lost Native American gold mine." He goes, "That was our retirement community." And I said, "What'd you say?" He goes, "That was our retirement community. It's where we took the old ones. They would soak in the water and it would heal their aches and they would feel better and feel younger." And he had no idea what I did for a living. And I think I asked him about 35 more times to say that again because I just couldn't believe it. And I truly believe, just like Lehman Hot Springs and that place provided healing and warmth and value, that's what we do at our communities. And our role here is to create those environments and those opportunities for people to live. I can tell you that as you age, life gets simpler. It's not so much about the big things. After you've been through all that stuff and you sort out all of the things that ultimately, in my view, become less important, it really comes down to really simple things. Like, what are the people like that I spend time around? Are people nice to me? Do they smile? Is there warmth? Is it a genuine environment? That's what we do here at the Springs Living, is we try to take a lot of complicated, messy things and make them really simple so that people can live their lives. And that's what we're about. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we work with people that are passionate but have a shared and consistent set of values, and that's what we're about every day we get up. Because we can't change people, we hire values. Those are the people we want to work with. People think that a company or an organization needs to be in a nice little box. However, we're dealing with people's lives 24/7, 365. And just because we have a planned activity at a certain time, or just because we had a planned event or a resident was going to go here or there, life happens. And we have to be flexible enough to be able to respond, be gracious, be considerate and consistent with our values, and still deliver those consistent results in a changing and dynamic universe. We deal with residents' health needs, we deal with psychological needs, we deal with families that are trying to grasp end of life. And so embracing change is very important for us. One of the things that we've all heard since we were little kids, and that's in our values card, our aim statement, is that we say please and thank you. And why is that important? I mean, that's just, why would you write that down? And we put that in there because if somebody is used to saying please and thank you, if we know that they have a sense of humility and respect and sincerity, listening communicates respect. It communicates humility. If we don't listen, we can't evolve. Every time a new resident moves into our community, we change. They're slightly younger, they have a slightly different perspective. If we don't listen to them and consider ways that we can make things better, we're in trouble. listening, respect. I mean, we have one value in there that talks about we yield to residents, you know, in the hallways. Okay, what does that mean? Why do we yield to residents? Which basically means if a resident's walking down the hallway, we're busy, right? You know, we have places to go and we're walking down the hallway. Why do we step aside and put our back up against the wall and smile at them and say, how are you today? Well, that action communicates respect. That action communicates service. That action makes sure that we're focused on the important people, our residents. We don't tolerate ethical lapses. That is important because that's at the core of who we are, because if you don't have that, you can't have trust. If you can't have trust, then you have to write all these rules. They just waste time for silly things. If I can pick up 2 or 3 pieces of trash on the way from my car to inside of a community, I've just helped the overall environment. Little detail doesn't seem like it would be important, but it is. Ultimately, the AIM card and the value statement, the reason why it's so absolutely important is because it is a guide, a very simple guide that anybody in the company can pick up. And if they're wondering what to do, how to act, what decision to make, okay? They don't have to go find some procedure. They don't have to find some complicated formula. We trust you. You're gonna make the right decision. One of the concepts that has really made a difference in this company is what we call 3D management. The reason why we call this 3D is because it's 3-dimensional. The 3 groups that are part of it are our residents, of course, us, the team, and the stakeholders. The 3 dimensions are move, stay, live. We want employees to live well. We want residents to live well. We want to create environments that's additive to them. One of the stories that has become part of our culture and who we are is the Starfish story. It's just this great story about a guy walking along the ocean and he sees a figure up ahead dancing. And he gets closer and he realizes he's actually not dancing, but he's reaching down and picking something up and throwing in the ocean. He gets a little closer and he sees that that's actually starfish. This guy's reaching down, picking him up and throwing him in the ocean. So he gets closer and he says, "Young man, what are you doing? There's thousands and thousands of starfish and miles of beach. You can't possibly hope to make a difference." And the young man bends down and he picks up another starfish and he throws it past the breaking waves into the ocean, and he looks at the guy and he says, "It made a difference for that one." And that story, while not unique to the Springs Living, more than probably any other story defines what I think happens every single day in our communities and the impact we make on people's lives. Stories matter, connections matter. I want people to think about their story and their history. We need your story, together with the Springs Living story, to make a difference and to change the way people think and feel and experience senior living.